And hello, how's it going? All right. We're not seeing or hearing anything. That may be by design.
I'm eating things that I did not know I had in my cabinet.
And yet are still fit to eat.
Ramen
Yeah.
and soup.
Yeah.
I baked all those rolls last week. So I'm using that as bread for sandwiches, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Peanut butter can be left out on the counter for 3 months, and jelly up for a month. They're preserves for a month.
Right.
I didn't ask for that jelly, but I bet it's the same.
Peanut butter and jelly roll sandwiches. Actually, yeah, that sounds fine. You have biscuits with jelly all the time, and that's a pretty good combination. And add some peanut butter. I think that'd be great.
There he is.
Hello, C.
Hello.
How you doing?
All right, I reckon.
So we got this mysterious message. Hold on here. You're glitched. Wait a moment. It is.
Yeah, back in communications, I reckon, spotty as it may be.
Yeah, we got this mysterious message that your cell phone was last seen on a fiery Viking longship going down the river.
Yeah, that's basically it. I didn't get back into communications till yesterday, and I'm still not got everything back to where it needs to be. But
so you
I
do
have
have
working audio now.
Hey, yeah,
Mhm.
Hi there. We can hear E and E can hear us. I think that's what that means.
very
Yes.
good.
Okay.
You sound like you're in a tunnel, but yeah.
Actually, yeah, it's fine.
I just got lazy and didn't want to
So
hook my headset.
nah, it's all good. So how's your week been? Aside from actually, I think a week without a cell phone is wonderful.
Yeah, it was very quiet for a couple of days.
Oh, okay.
Yesterday was fairly brutal. Me and Mr. Peg were out till about 7:30 last night,
Ouch.
and then I had to drive home.
Yep.
So I got home about 9, but it was pretty wild. We largely got the system done we were working on. So,
That sounds, when you say largely, that sounds like you might have to make a return trip.
well, we do. We have to test it for the authorities having jurisdiction,
Mm-hmm.
so it shows that it's all connected. And the
Right.
bottle had leaked just a little bit, but it bounced around a little bit in shipping. So I feel like it just loosened the head. I gotta relube it and charge it again and see how it holds. I'll do that Monday. We'll probably return it next Friday. So when we do the test, because we'll have taken a bottle full of air, put it in there, and it blows up balloons to show that all the pipes are connected. So we'd have to take it back down again anyway. So we just took it with us to fix it. And when we go back and hang it up, we'll do the test with the little one first before we put the big one back up.
Sounds good.
The idea being trying to make it easier to quick change out. And we have another one we have to do. Well, we've got one on Monday, one on Tuesday, and this one on Friday.
Nothing like job security, huh?
Yeah, Peg's stressed out. The kitchen systems are Peg's expertise. So he's the most stressed out at the moment. I'm just trying to help him.
Sometimes things don't go to plan. You just have to roll with the punches.
Yeah. Semper Gumby, as he says. Always flexible.
Yeah, I like that. I still adhere to, snafu, but
How has life been on your end?
Interesting. But not, interesting up till 9:00 at night.
Other than good A1C numbers?
Yeah, oh God, yeah. That was like, ooh.
Yeah, I'll go for that in 2 weeks.
And as to that, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's been a night and day thing. Because back in February, I could go 3-4 hours, and then I was just exhausted, needed a nap.
Yeah.
And lately, I've been having to to do 12 or 14, but I'm still damn exhausted after the end of it, going to bed
Yeah.
at 8. But at least I can do it. I can.
Yeah.
The days I have to commute, I still don't feel safe because of the eyesight, but
Right.
at least I'm not falling asleep.
Right.
And that was the other thing going on. So I did have a fun incident Wednesday. We had those storms had gone through, and it was foggy on 65 north. And right when you hit Duck River, there's the kind of a big bridge that goes over it.
Yeah.
The fog suddenly got really thick. So I was looking at that, and the sun's there, and it was just creating this kaleidoscope of there's light, there's dark, there's shade. What the hell's going on? So I figured, well, I'll put my sunglasses on because they're polarized. And that'll help out. So I did. I reached up and got my sunglasses and put them on. And the instant I put them on, that's when I saw the SUV without its lights on. I was about to hit it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, shit. Okay. So that decision to put the sunglasses on at the last moment, like, okay.
Yeah. I tend to wear mine when it's cloudy more than I do when it's sunshiny. I had to go Tuesday and get 2 more shots. That was a lot of fun.
But yeah. But what's the doctor saying? What's your prognosis with that?
Well, he says it's improving. But since he's got me on kind of a charity program, I think he's just milking me at this point.
Now, how do you mean?
The medication is free. I just have to pay for the application.
Right.
So he's getting a kickback on it some way or another. But every time I go, he says it's better. So, well, we'll see in 6 weeks. He's pushing me further.
It took me, if I'm thinking this is the same thing that I did, for the edema.
Yeah.
Retina swelling.
That's what it is. There's a couple of leaky capillaries and swelling to start with, but now he's just after the leaky stuff.
I had to do it for about a year.
Yeah.
Before it finally came under control. And, I don't know how far into it you are, but yeah, it
About
takes
8
a
months.
while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a while. And the other part of it is that it has, the shots are treating a symptom. The real cause of it is the sugar itself.
Yeah.
So if you can get the sugar under control some way, somehow,
Yeah.
then the edema kind of goes away on its own. Yeah, bless you.
Oh, the swig Coke a minute ago tried to go the wrong way. I've been half choked up ever since.
Oh, man, let me see here. Jeez, it's traveling now, isn't it?
Yep.
All righty. Well, we'll see what happens.
Mm.
Gotta find some documentation. I always pull up the wrong thing.
This is wrong tool.
Yeah. Yes. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Great. I don't want to hear about it now.
I just watched the current Obi-Wan and the current Strange New Worlds.
Now, what do you think?
I was pleased with both.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed last week's Strange New Worlds. It was comical, but they ripped us off yet again.
I think we're a week behind you then.
Okay.
Last week's was the Starbase one, and they did the Enterprise Bingo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one we just watched.
Okay. So yeah.
And yeah, we're a week behind you.
Okay. Well, the one I just watched was very good too, but I'm really pleased with it. This less formal stuff I'm kind of digging. It kind of reminds me of our old game stuff.
Yeah, I agree with it.
It's comfortable.
But the thing about that episode is a lot of the casualness of it was lifted from Lower Decks.
Yeah.
Lower Decks is the show that introduced bingo. Having a checklist of places to do and things to do on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
So because they had that in several of their episodes, and it was pretty funny. Enterprise Bingo.
Yeah, Thomas had to make sure I knew about all the little coins. and because that was Jim's thing, and signing a scorch sounds like something we'd do too.
Yeah, which is a clever way of yeah, I liked how they did that. You leave that plate in place, if it's not actually a danger. Wonder, that sounds like a tradition that you might find in the modern day navies. I don't know. I wonder if that was a thing somewhere.
Well, I mean, how many vessels have we been associated with that there would be only one untouched panel on board?
Yeah, but yeah, true.
There's
Assign the last original part on the ship.
Modern ships, it's probably on modern naval vessels, it's probably the first one that was replaced. The oldest battle damage is sustained in honor of sailors at that incident.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd never heard of something like that. I mean, I've heard of they'll put up plaques and memorials all over the place. Yeah, but
I'm just saying, everybody go sign the patch of the USS Cole. The rest of the ship's been intact and pulled back to where it's not been impacted so much.
Yeah, that they do. There's a bit of the damaged part of the ship, and the survivors of that incident will. Yeah,
that would be the renowned location.
But they don't actually leave it on the ship. That's it.
Yeah.
That's a trick.
I'm just saying that would be the replaced part. The rest of the ship may still be original equipment, but the replaced part would be the significance. In that case, it'd be reversed. We got up to see the new Jurassic Park today.
Oh, what'd you think?
It wasn't bad. The combining of the two casts was done rather well. And to be a quote unquote send off, I think it did well.
Is it going to be a send off? Are they finally done with that?
It's supposed to be, but they left it open.
Yeah. Life finds a way.
But it'd be yet another. It left it open for a whole nother cast of characters to take it over. All these people are done.
Jurassic Park on Mars.
Yeah.
Well, Wall as well. During the stream that the guys did this morning, they streamed Elite, and they wanted to do some ground missions. So we decided, okay, well, why not? Everybody piled into the Wall, which is a thing you can do these days. And we parked the thing like 2 kilometers away from the settlement because it's too big to park at the settlement. And have 2 SUVs. One is the Scorpion, the 2-seater, and the other just a regular Scarab. Dropped them both out there and just drove into town. Did what had to be done. But on the way out, somebody shot at a patrol ship from the Scarab, and we all got a fine. So that was great, until we got back to the ship and got in the ship. And as soon as I lifted off, the settlement started firing at us. Okay. But the Wall is the Wall, so the Wall's like, okay, I'm getting fired at, shrug. So it kept lifting off, and they sent up interceptors. The Goliath showed up. Everything's pounding the hell out of the Wall, and the Wall just left. But that's where the problems began. They didn't black at her, but both of my passengers got stuck in transitioning from planetary to orbital. So they actually had to crash the game manually. They ended up back on the ground. So they ran from the settlement, and I had to turn the Wall around and go down and pick them back up. I mean, okay. But then we decided to do some more traditional, go pirates stuff in space, and ended up doing what the Wall does best. Just parked it in above a ring, and the pirates came to us and just shot them up for a few hours. That's pretty good. So far this week, the Wall has made about 750 million credits, and that's with me not being able to full time it. You know what I mean? Because I'm working, so which is good because what I've found about the tritium situation is that nigh impossible to actually buy tritium from NPC stations like you can in the bubble, because there are so many carriers. And there's actually two stories behind that. There's so many carriers competing for the same resource that it's depleted. And then there's this business about the Golconda. Short story there. The Golconda was a generation ship. Hello, Miss Beck. How's it going? So the Golconda was a generation ship launched from Earth 1,000 years ago. It actually reached its destination, was helped by some commanders to set up a colony there. Recently, a kind of mysterious group shows up and retrofits the Golconda with faster-than-light capital ship frameshift drives. So a bunch of the Golcondans who spent their entire life in space, they want to go back and, explore the galaxy or do whatever they're going to do. So they asked for, hey, could same commanders that helped us before, could you give us some tritium? So the carrier that we're in, I loaded for our original trip about 12,000 tons of tritium, which gave us a range of 20 to 30,000 light years. The Golcondans were donated 15 million tons of tritium.
Wow.
Which is enough tritium, theoretically, to go from here to the Andromeda Galaxy and back 400,000 times. Here's the problem. That depleted all of the tritium in the galaxy. All of the folks that were mining tritium to be sold at Colonia instead went and donated it to the Golcondans because they were getting a better return. Thousands of folks bought tritium from the NPC suppliers and sold it and donated it to the Golcondans. So the NPC suppliers are all 0%. They're totally dry. So a tanker recently showed up in Colonia, which would be the only reliable source of quick source of tritium for us, selling tritium, which is the galactic base price is 50,000 credits per ton. They're selling it for 250,000 credits per ton.
Wow.
Which means that it would take 3 billion credits to fill the carrier. The carrier cost 5 billion credits. Oh. So this whole business of the Golconda has thrown the economy for fuel for capital ships, wonky. So yeah, we're stuck for a bit.
Nice.
Just one of those things.
You gotta love it when you really feel like there's an actual effect on the end game universe you're in.
Mm-hmm. Well, this whole happy ending story for the Golcondans. Hey, they can go to Andromeda, but nobody else can go anywhere. Good luck. Good to them. We'll see you when you get back in 10 years. We'll still be here. So yeah, it was something else. So how goes in your neck of the woods?
Well, it's going all right. Had a long Friday.
Yeah, that's what C was saying.
Yeah, Thor apparently is got a bit of a fever, but thankfully, children's Tylenol was invented, so that's helping her out.
Right. And hopefully that turns out to be nothing that children's Tylenol can't handle on its own, and between it and her own immune system.
Exactly.
All right. Well, if Neff shows. So let's see here. I guess we're doing traveling. All right. So as someone out there in the audience would project their screen, we shall begin. So does everybody remember where we parked?
With the help of the Rotopole, we just took out a Corvette. And the great solar system firefight battle takeover that's happening right as we speak.
Yeah, the battle goes on, which is where we'll pick right up. So the Eliethia is hurt pretty badly. Probably half hull and probably half armor, and several casualties, of which Samuel is probably the worst. So the idea, when you contact the Rithapol and then contact Rithapol Landing, they would like you to park. You remember you can't park at the starport right now because it's still damaged, but that the field that's been acting as a makeshift starport just outside town, so they can offload your casualties. And then they would like the Eliethia under a different crew to go down to the shipbreaking yard for repair. They say you're under a different crew because the High Council wants to talk to you guys.
I guess pretty popular.
Well, yeah.
But Virgil completely understands, and he's actually kind of grateful. The ship needs repairs, and he definitely needs all non combat crew on this ship.
Oh, that's what happens. The Eliethia, and no need to make a roll. It's routine stuff. Yeah, you sit down. We'll come back to this map because there's going to be a lot going on. The Rithapol Landing. Yeah, I haven't cleaned this one up either. Now there were quite a few people on the ship, and much more than you normally have on a Gazelle. So yeah, they're hauling off about 10 people. I mean, you were so busy up there. There were other people that got banged around that you weren't even aware of. Amongst particularly the NPCs. So those folks get hauled off to Washi Memorial, and that includes Samuel. When they said the High Council wanted to speak to you, they didn't tell you that the High Council was going to be there waiting for you. There's Dante just as the ramp, extends, and as the last of the casualties are taken off, and the rest of the crew's coming off, and you got the other crew that's going to take it down for the repairs, ready to board. There's Dante standing right down there at the bottom of the ramp.
I kind of go, shit. I walk up to him very quickly. I'm like, all right, Granddad, you're about to see a ghost.
What?
You'll know when you see it.
Okay. So he doesn't know exactly what you're talking about. Really, there are multiple ghosts on that ship. So down comes the litters with, okay, some of your crew got hit, and people being helped off, and then he sees Cap. Now he didn't know Cap as well as the crew of the Bare Necessity, but he knows Cap. He's like, Cap, is that you? Who the hell are you? He don't recognize him. Nobody. And then down comes Sharpie. Sharpie does recognize him. Oh, Dante, you're always scary. Still scary. Don't ever change. And then they take Sharpie away. And then, Tam comes down. She's still, out of it. So no recognition there. But it's like, where'd you pick up these people? They picked them up with me, as Eliethia says that from the top of the ramp. And that's Dante's turn to just, he goes from shock to just mouth gape open. All right. We had a lot to talk about before. Now we have like an encyclopedia.
What's an encyclopedia?
Yeah. He's just showing his age.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in a library. Don't we have a library here at Rithapol Landing? If we don't, we need to build one.
It's called a wiki. Yeah.
Okay, young kids. Yeah, let's pile up in the transport here and talk about this people that you've found, and also what's going on. So yeah, there are actually several transports there, air rafts, and you pile in there, and let's see. Yeah, don't need to roll those. Dice right here. We did. Meant to do. I did do 1 to 6, 4 and 3. All right. All right. Okay. And it would probably be with our casualties.
Yeah.
Where is Janice?
Well, I guess Janice would be with the rest of the.
Okay, because your brother just got hauled off in bad shape.
Well,
All right.
that's true. Okay, yeah, she'd probably go with him.
All right. So Janice, you're with Samuel heading towards Washi. Loki. Let's
Loki
see.
is seeing seeing one of the patients as they go by, and Bob's carrying one into the litter.
Okay. All right. So Loki, we'll unless you have other plans, we'll say that you're with the crew. So yeah, we'll say that there are present in the 3 PCs that we have here that aren't elsewhere are in there talking with Dante and Eliethia. All right. Well, Dante kind of with effort restrains himself from immediately interrogating about Eliethia because there's other stuff going on. All right. We'll go back to this map here. All right. So the first thing is he fills you in on some past details that let's see, most of this you already know about, so let's stick to the stuff that you don't. He says that about a week ago, they began noticing an energy effect in disrupting systems throughout Rithipal Landing. And when they narrowed it down, they realized that it had something to do with the you've seen that error that you got when you try to from the jump drive, because of a disconnect in the quantum interface. Well, the eggheads at the Institute kind of have a better idea of exactly what that means, but the bottom line is that quantum mechanics in the system is not quite working the way it used to. That has numerous effects on everything from computers to brains, chemistry. Quantum effects is quantum mechanics are at the root of everything. So, in addition to not being able to jump, it's also begun to cause some illness because it's causing essentially it's like being exposed to low radiation over a long period of time. People are developing signs of radiation sickness. Some folks are actually showing mutations, cellular mutations in random parts that might lead to cancers down the road. But the point is that this is like a fast forward version of low yield radiation exposure. And it's happening across the board. It's happening to the entire population. That's not their immediate concern, but it is a grave concern because if this continues more than a few weeks, it'll kill everybody, just straight up. So that's number one. And you guys didn't even realize it was happening to you, because you haven't been here long enough to have experienced any effects. They have. As I say, this all started about a week ago. The thing that they noticed that began it was the large ruin in orbit of Beta 2, which is this thing. The huge intact ancient ruin.
Yeah, the launcher.
The launcher. It came to life. It powered up. It seemed to actually activate. No one's ever seen one of these things in operation before.
Be familiar with it.
But it did. It seemed to cycle. It's launched. It did its thing. Everything that was. Oh no, I'm echoing. Where am I echoing? All right. Everything that was inside that thing is someplace else now.
Hmm.
And That includes numerous science expeditions that we had, stationed inside because they thought it was perfectly safe and they didn't quite realize they were in the barrel of the thing, as it were.
Yeah.
So that's how we lost contact with our expeditions over there. And there may still be people that are in the guts that were away from the action, but they don't have any way to contact us. Shortly after that is when what you see, on the map began, the naval battle. Because the Lemikins apparently have been using that to hide their resources and their strength. And they no doubt have a great deal to do with the activation of that thing. They don't know if the activation of that thing has to do with what's going on in the system. So that's question number one for you guys. Do you know of anything that might be causing what's going on in the system right now?
We might have a good idea.
All right. He was afraid of that.
It's like, go ahead and sit down, lean back. I'm about to unpack some shit on you. And
hit me.
And Virgil kind of explains everything, how they found Eliethia and the crew, and the black sphere that was under a black globe device, and it pretty much imploded upon itself and activated our jump drives before we actually did it. And that Eliethia kind of told us what that was for, that the Lemikins were actually trying to get it themselves, and that they may have inadvertently set off its defenses, which caused it to blow up. And
well, actually, slight tweak. Eliethia says no, she is the one who set off its defenses. They actually successfully activated the station, but then she turned on that black globe, which prevented it from operating, and ultimately led to its destruction. Because she didn't want this place isolated like they did, because she didn't know what was going to happen here in terms of the effect on health, but she felt that it would be bad for everybody in Rithipal Landing if this place got cut off like it was before. And now she's like, well,
whoops.
Yeah, whoops. Maybe having done what she did has actually made things worse.
But that may have been what activated the ruins. And it may be what's also causing our little computer health problems.
So, yeah, Dante is just taking all this in and just shaking his head. It's getting wilder and wilder as this goes.
Hey, welcome to the apocalypse.
He's like, okay, well, I would say if we could jump out to that station again and, well, what's left of it, and, let the eggheads chew on it, maybe it's just a matter of time. We don't have time to do anything. And we can't even jump. We can't use our jump drives to get to where we need to get to. Yeah, welcome to the apocalypse.
Yeah. Well, and I have no idea if Dante's even been briefed on it, but of the ghost ships that Cap and them talked about near the end before they went under. So Virgil will kind of just do a Cliff Notes version of that. Like, here's an eyewitness to the fall of the Empire.
Oh, boy.
And
when you go into that, he starts doing this number, and he's just leaning forward and it's like very intensely listening to what you're saying.
And then Virgil's like, so, connect the dots to the ships we're seeing that shouldn't even be working. They're working. And what happened during the the fight at Rithipal Landing, the two launches that self-destructed started shooting up friendly forces. It's like, that's exactly what Cap described. So we're still dealing with that. That's found us now. It gets worse before it gets worse.
He just shakes his head. Well, all right. We've got to deal with the problems that we can deal with one at a time. All right. You've got a lot of information, critical information that's going to help, hopefully, us dig ourselves out of whatever this is. I don't want you guys to waste time with the High Council. I'll go take everything you said and pass it on to them, and they can chew on it. Instead, I'd rather you folks spend time at the university getting the eggheads up to speed. We're going to have to science our way out of this thing.
Virgil kind of laughs, and it's not my forte, but I'll give it the good old college try.
Yeah, and he nods in sympathy and says, "Yeah, I'm in the same boat." But they seem to they figured out, at least in general, what's happening, with the low yield radiation everywhere that shouldn't even be there. Maybe with this additional information that you're providing, might be able to come up with some shield against it at least before it kills us all. He turns to Eliethia. Where were you all these years? And she says, I never left. Oh, yes, you did. We lost track of you about 40 years ago when those refugees were coming in droves. And yes, I remember that kid. That was Relemica, right? And she nods. Where were you? I sensed the potential in him. I thought I could train him. Train him to do what? Train him to harness his power. It was wild, unpredictable. As opposed to now? And she just looks away. Eliethia, I'm glad to see you, but yes, this discussion can happen at another time and place, but damn it, Eliethia. And she just doesn't meet his gaze. You folks go the rest of the way in silence. It doesn't take long. This transport's booking it. Get to the council chambers, and Dante gets out and says, on to the university. Now you'll find, okay, there we go. I know that was what I was looking for. Yeah. All right, great. Yeah. Yeah, Zoe's there waiting for you.
So before we leave Dante at the council chambers, Virgil goes, hey, one thing, I'm going to have to be reinstated. It's like, I'm going to have to need, it's like, if I'm going to be flying missions, I'm going to need some rank out there. I can't just go, hi, it's me, Virgil.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Colonel. See ya.
Colonel, got a promotion.
He didn't even remember what rank you were. It was like, okay, Colonel. Yeah.
I forget where I got before I got demoted.
So yeah, right. So he might have said general if he didn't already have one. So okay. But yeah, he almost offhandedly agrees, and yeah. There you go. Go get yourself some birds. So yeah, you guys carry on over to the university, and indeed there is a lot of activity going on. Now, Loki, you'll recognize that universities under normal sane times is kind of a quiet, contemplative place.
Yeah, we're
People
back.
walk-
It's homecoming week.
Yeah, it does look like homecoming week. It's just people are running around. There's soldiers everywhere on guard because the security level has not gone down since the attempted invasion of the city. There's a lot of security. Zoe is not out there waiting for you. Dante, with his robot cybernetic parts, he can get around okay, but Zoe's very, very old.
Right.
So, but there is a welcoming committee, and they see you come up and say, yes, you're from the Eliethia Loki. Yeah, please follow us. And off you go inside. They lead you through the halls. Again, very busy, lots of activity, lots of people talking about the problem of the moment. until you get to her office. And it's the typical dean's office, right? You know, it's overly furnished, fancy. It tries to express stability and knowledge and you know, kind of a depth of yeah, we're going to be here forever, even though it's only 100 years old only.
Right.
And you get in there, and she's in there with probably you know, 5 other folks. She glances up at you folks as you come in and says, "I'll talk to all of you in about 10 minutes," and indicates the door to them, and then motions for you to come in. Now, in the interest of you know, not repeating yourself, you have to relay the same information to her that you just did to Dante.
Right.
And she quietly listens to it, staring at Eliethia the whole time. She hasn't commented on Eliethia. You know, she may have had some warning that Eliethia was going to be there. But after you're done relaying what happened out there, she asks if you have any logs from the Eliethia, the ship, and you do. I mean, you've got your, you know, you can easily access it from your hand computer. And asks if anything that you have, would you make that available to the researchers outside?
I haven't had a chance to organize it. We've been dealing with patients.
Well, we also have the logs from the ship we rescued Eliethia and Kemp off of.
Right. The
Trial and error.
trial and error.
And her eyebrows kind of go up a little bit at that. All the better. All right. So now she looks at pretty much straight at Eliethia. Tell me about him. And again, you know, Alethia's you know, tense and rather embarrassed. She says that Relemica is one of the most powerful psionics she's ever met. And it was impossible to ignore that in childhood. And she felt that, you know, she could train him and guide his development, which she did for some time until he got it in his head to use his powers for his own aggrandizement, captured her, put her away, and then Zoe interrupts, "Excuse me, captured you? My understanding is that you are one of the most powerful psionics to come out of the Zodani. That's what your title indicated anyway." And there may be some kind of glances over at her. It's like, well, okay, didn't know that. She said, yes, that's true. Nevertheless, he was able to subdue me. When was that? About 20 years ago. You've been in prison for about 20 years? I've been in something like a prison, yes. Oh, do tell. Zoe's not going to let it go. You know, she's a scientist. She wants the details. You know, not like Dante, who just he's so overwhelmed with stuff right now. He was going to have this argument with her later when there was time. So Eliethia kind of describes a psionic cell, which is intended to suppress psionic abilities. There are medications to do that, of course, but this is intended to do that to particularly powerful psionics on a large scale. Not just one person, but like hundreds at a time. More than enough to basically render her normal. Where did he find where did he create such a device? And she says he didn't. He actually found and repaired something that the ancients had. Okay. So it was yet again another ancient artifact. She nods. How did you find your way out of it? I was set free. Not everybody in the Willemicans agrees with his methods, but he's terribly powerful, and it's almost impossible for anyone to organize a resistance against him. So these were extraordinarily brave people, and not all of them survived. And then you found your way out to this station and attempted to sabotage what they were doing. Yes, eventually. Eventually. I tried to confront him directly first. So how'd that go? He nearly killed me. As I said, he's one of the most powerful psionics I've ever met. So detail what he can do. What did you train him to do? And she looks away again. He's a powerful telepath. He's a powerful empath, which is how he gains loyalty amongst his more intractable subjects. He's a powerful telekinetic user. He can crush a structure at medium range by, say, 100 yards away. He can destroy a house. He's mastered to a limited degree the art of teleportation. He's pretty good at it short range, but I don't think the ring world has allowed him to practice long range teleportation efficiently, safely. That about covers most of the schools that I was aware of that the Zodani would teach. I'm also aware that there were others that were not well advertised. Did you teach him any of those methods? Eliethia shakes her head. No. That's how I survived. Eliethia, you may have doomed us all. Your generosity does you credit, but one last question before I unleash you on my scientists. In this story that you brought me, you said that you were actually born here on the ring world. Eliethia nods. Where? And you folks kind of heard this, but I don't think it registered at the time. So Eliethia identifies that base that Una is operating out of. Okay, she nods. So the ship named Eliethia and your name, Eliethia. Eliethia says I was named after the ship. The scientists that were brought on that team and initially trapped here were the ones that actually found me. So let me be perfectly clear, Zoe says, leaning forward, actually standing on her cane, is that you are an ancient. Maybe not in form, but you are a product of their research. Alethea just stares back and she nods. Good. That's all I needed to know. And she turns to Loki. Would you please share your information? And to the others, please take some time to talk with these scientists. They'll have a lot of questions that don't seem to be pertinent about anything, but every little detail that you provide might help us solve this. Thank you for your time. And she turns around and just stares out the window, dismissing you.
I take the hint.
So, as promised, there is a small army of scientists and engineers outside, and yeah, you spend the next couple of hours debriefing with those guys. At some point, a gunner comes up to talk to you, Virgil, flanked by a couple of troops. Like I said, security is really high now. And he's simply there to inform you that the Eliethia arrived safely at the shipbreaking yard and repairs are underway. They estimate approximately 3 weeks.
We don't have 3 weeks.
It's a lieutenant. He shrugs and says, "Well, tell that to the engineers." But yes, sir, I'll pass it on.
was like, give me the comms. I'll tell him.
Okay. He hands over some comms, and you can make sure that you're talking to the team that's working on the Eliethia.
So yeah, I make sure I get a hold of them. I said, what can we do to shorten this repair?
Parts. We just need parts. I mean, there are plenty of gazelles out there, but this one's tore up, half to the other side of the ring world. I mean, we got to find. And he starts getting very technical. So you can say, whoa, stop. What can we do to speed it up? Well, if you can find me another gazelle or two.
We don't need the exact parts from the gazelle. I mean, we used parts from the Gamemaster. Another ships.
I see that. That's why a quarter of the relays over there are fried. They have to be had to all be replaced. And you kind of look over at John Blackridge, and he's like, "I kept it running. What are you complaining about?"
And Virgil just goes, "I don't need it to be perfect. I don't need to be the exact gazelle. I just need it to work. Whatever we can do to speed it up without having to go on a hunt for a gazelle immediately, let's do it."
So you guys go round and round for a few minutes. It's a typical conversation that you have with an engineer who's got his head down in the problem and isn't looking at the big view. I've been there as the engineer. So
I can guarantee it all if it's all new.
That's right. So he kind of he gets it eventually, and says, okay. Well, I'll keep you informed there, Colonel, and let you know the progress. I mean, she can fly right now. The problem is she'll fly apart pretty soon if we don't fix up some of the structural problem. We'll get there.
Virgil goes, yeah, we need the structure integrity to be absolute, but when it comes to everything else, if we can shortcut it and it will work, totally okay with it. We'll find a gazelle out there somewhere at some point.
All right.
But that shit needs to be a priority in getting back up.
So after several hours there at the academy getting grilled by waves of scientists and engineers, finally it's night. Well, Ringworld night. It's Zoe herself that comes out and chases them off and says, let these people have a rest. And she nods at you and says, I have some news from the hospital. They've taken Samuel's out of surgery. And E, if you would roll 2d6, we'll see what the result of that was. Yeah, of course. He's still alive, but they say there's significant damage that is going to take some time to repair. Basically, he got shot in the face with a glancing blow from a ship-mounted laser. Now, your other patients, the folks that had broken bones and contusions and lacerations, such, they're doing okay. The folks from the trial and error, they're stable. I mean, Anna and Loki both did a good job of getting them, of keeping them alive. Kind of a critical thing. But it's going to take some planning to figure out how to progress with cybernetics for them, because that's the plan. The docs took a look at the injuries and realized, this is stuff that we can deal with through cybernetic implants. That may take a month or so. And then, again, these people are talking like there is a month. What can you do? But that's the word that you're getting from the hospital. At that point, Zoe invites you to rest at the university if you don't want to make the trek back to the city, or go back as you will. She warned you that if you do go back, you're probably going to be waylaid by folks from the council. So I would actually try to stay here.
Virgil just has to stay there because he's like, yeah, I don't want to really talk with the council right now.
She almost she gives the wisp of a smile at that because she's council member herself, and just and nods in agreement. Motions to somebody to show you to some quarters, and they turn out to be very nice quarters. You know, the quarters that are normally reserved for instructors and that sort of thing. So, okay. So everybody roll 2d6. Wow. Wow. Okay, Janice basically got the same roll as yeah. Okay. Oh man. Look at Sam. Sam and Virgil both. You guys. Now Sam springs out of bed. Okay, I'm great. I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Just rips off the constraints. Ah!
Yes. He hulks out. Okay, so let's see how this plays out. The
There
next
were two
morning,
12s.
there were, yeah. That's I was just impressed. The next morning, start with Janice. So you're kind of there, you know, at the hospital, watching over your brother, and you noticed you didn't get the briefing about the low yield radiation effects, but you noticed because there were a lot of people in the hospital, you know, just sick. So you asked, you know, what that was, and you got the story. You know, there's something going on that's, you know, causing low yield radiation pretty much anywhere in the system. And not much you can do about it. You know, wearing a suit does not protect you if the radiation's coming from within. So, okay, I kind of wish I didn't come back, but here I am. So next morning, you kind of wake up in the chair that you went to sleep in, and immediately throw up on the floor. You just feel awful. Now you're in a hospital. You know that doesn't go unnoticed. One of the aides comes out and asks if you're okay, and no, not really. I mean, you didn't feel great coming in here, but you thought that was just, hey, I've just been in a battle. But at this point, no, you're feeling pretty raw. And when they take you and do a quick check, yeah, it's this low yield radiation that's seems to already be impacting you. Wonderful. Same story for both Anna and John. Anna worked late into the night, you know, trying to help uh, the folks that you brought in from the Eliethia, and she, you know, did the Dr. Catnap thing, you know, find a dark spot and just doze off for an hour or two. And when she wakes up, she's just cold sweats and miserable and doesn't get two steps out of that closet and just throws up right there. And again, hospital doesn't go unnoticed. Same prognosis. You know, you're already feeling the effects of that. John, a little different. When you finally come to, you feel okay until you try to eat something, and then that's not happening.
Yeah.
So, but it's not like the hospital. Nobody's there in your room to notice. You know, so you have to actually go out and after you realize after about an hour that this isn't going away, you know, seek some help. And
Yeah.
the university folks, medics, do the same scan and say, yeah. So they want to take you to the hospital, you know, to add you to the crew that of folks that are impacted by this.
Yeah.
You don't have to go. It's, you know, just early stages. But how do you want to treat that?
Well, at least want to get checked out anyway, just because he don't.
Off you go. And Bitterman, hey, Neff has joined us. Rolled one more 2d6 for the press. I'm not sure how long you've been here or how much of all this you've heard. Okay, so
same number.
Same number. So what that means, assuming that you went with this group to the university and stayed there overnight, is that you folks, you wake up, you don't feel terribly bad until you try to eat something, and you hold it down, unlike John, but it doesn't just, it's like not good, not right. So yeah, and the Pris also is just giving that kind of making hissing sounds, and her teeth are kind of pulled back.
Take
Yeah,
note
she's
of where we ate at so we can avoid it in the future.
the university. You're actually served breakfast in chambers. It's a kind of fancy arrangement.
Venerable dining setup.
Yeah, venerable dining setup. All right. So let's see. Sid. Sid, you actually don't wake up in the morning. And when they start pounding on your door and you don't respond, they enter and find you sprawled out unconscious. So yeah, you get to go to the hospital too.
Whee!
Loki, you're fine. And Virgil and Samuel, as we said, Samuel rips everything off and hulks out and says, "I'm ready to go." And then no, he's fine, to the extent that he was before. And same for Virgil. And Virgil, you get up and you're looking around, and you and Loki are you, Loki and Bitterman, actually. Yeah, you, Loki and Bitterman are the only ones left. Everybody else got hauled off because of this radiation stuff. It's a thing. They're not dead. They're just feeling the effects as though they have been exposed to radiation for several weeks in a night. So it's yeah. Let's solve this quick, because this is going to kill people soon.
Like, put a graphic in front of Virgil, numbers and everything, like trying to figure out this equation.
Yep.
No,
Well,
that is definitely concerning.
And if it happened to this team, who had no exposure to this effect before you got here in system just yesterday, how bad it must be throughout the rest of the colony. All right. So a day has passed. So we're still on this map. So let me show you what's happened in a day in space. So we'll start with battle number 1 over here. All right. So the Yordheim, get the Yordheim moving, has done its little slingshot around the sun in company with Munin. It does look like these guys behind them are closing, but it appears that that patrol cutter will have rendezvoused by the time they get in range to do anything about it. So looks like later today, tomorrow, there's going to be a battle there. All right. All right. We'll go down to the bottom of the map. This might surprise you. Let me actually. So the science vessel, the Gretchen Royal. All right. Clear token. Great. Now you may or may not recall that these lab ships have a cutter built into them right in the middle. Right. That's how the ship itself is not capable of landing, but it has this cutter to transport people to and fro. So, and the cutter has pretty good acceleration. So here's what happens when it's clear to the crew of the Gretchen Royal that they're going to have to fend off at least one scout ship before they get help. They decide to scuttle the ship. They don't want it falling into the Relemican hands. So they pile in everybody they can into their cutter and send the Gretchen Royal plummeting into the moon, destroying her. So gone. And that cutter, 4G acceleration, burns right for the Stevenstone, that scout that was headed there to help him. Now, because it has 4G acceleration, this scout, the Relemican scout, is unable to alter its course to intercept it, although it tries. Actually takes a couple of shots. Let's see if I can turn this one around. All right, that works. So our Relemican buddies, having seen the destruction of the lab ship that they were actually after, are now trying to go after the crew. And doesn't look like it's going to happen. The Stevenson has changed its vector. It's trying to decelerate so that it can intercept that cutter. So it does look like the Stevenson will intercept the Stevenstone will intercept that cutter a bit before the enemy scout ships get to it. So yeah, we lost the lab ship, but we didn't lose any people. All right, next battle, and this is probably the one that you were wanting to hear about. So remember, this is happening system scale. So the battle happens and you hear about it maybe an hour later because of light delay. All right. The end result of this is that all 3 of the non-jump capable ships were destroyed at range with missile fire from the mercenary cruiser. Let me get to that. So the Host, which is another one of those patrol cutters, and the Anne Catherine, our corvette, step up and face off against 2 Gazelles and the mercenary cruiser. In the battle, we learned something nasty. That the 2 Gazelles, their plasma turrets, have been replaced with ancient laser cannons. Something similar to what the Rithipol did with the gravy gun. So as a result, Haas didn't know this. The Haas gets taken out very quickly, leaving the Anne Catherine to fight all 3. Well, she puts up the best fight she can, but ends up having to withdraw. And to many, let's see if I have something to indicate that. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, so the Anne Catherine's on the run and being chased by one of these Gazelles, which is easily able to keep up with it. But the Anne Catherine, they're clever enough that they're not leaving A2. They're using wreckage and debris that's still in orbit to kind of dance around the planet and use it for cover as much as best they can. So it's an ongoing kind of dance. But meanwhile, these other 2 ships have successfully landed on the surface and are conducting their invasion. So that battle did not go well for us. The other thing of note is that our big ancient station up here is noted to have cycled again. Similar to several days ago when all this radiation stuff started in here. Somehow, some way, it's active and it's doing things. We're not really sure what. So, day 2. How would you guys like to proceed? Most of you, unfortunately, end up in the hospital. You're not there for long. Those of you that rolled poorly on your radiation thing, they treat you for the sickness and release you because they don't want a lot of people are feeling this and they can't have everybody just hanging out in the hospital. So a lot of walking wounded, including you.
Loki wants to make a beeline to Zulu and get hands on.
There's definitely something going on out there. So yeah, the group, as it is, except for Sam, you get together someplace somehow, and you can plan out your next moves based on what you've just seen and heard.
Virgil kind of goes, well, science types, go science.
Okay.
I'm going to have to bite a bullet and go talk to the council.
I think most science types will tell you not to bite bullets. It's bad for your health.
Well, better than eating one.
Oh. What you doing, buddy? What you doing? Arr. Let's see. So to that end, yeah, science types, go ahead and roll your science, but also Bitterman, roll your animal handling. Oh wow. That's pretty good. Yeah, but he's like, you made me roll something, man. Okay. Okay, there you go. The press throughout all of this, she just doesn't do it. She can't go into that hospital, and they wouldn't really know exactly how to treat her anyway for her exposure. You guys actually weren't taken to the hospital. You didn't feel quite as bad as all that, but the press you recognize as getting that wild-eyed look. She had been well behaved around you and the rest of the group, but right now, she's feeling threatened. And that's the role gets you that recognition, but also doesn't solve the problem.
I guess we'll go off into the woods by ourselves for a while.
All right, well that works. Okay, so that's where you guys are. Hey, Cat, what you doing, bud? Oh, those are pretty good rolls. All right, so we'll deal with the science stuff in a moment. You wanted to talk to the council.
Indeed.
All right. So it's not hard to find them because there's arguing going on in the high council chambers. There's about what to do, and they're past they're past the pointing finger stage. Dante put a stop to that quick. Instead, it's what the hell are we going to do? And there is stark disagreement because there really aren't any easy answers at this point. I'm sure Dante had this up, and I'm sure Virgil does too, is that you're missing some of the council members that were assassinated during the prior invasion, because Stannis Mile, he may have been cantankerous, but he had a good head. You could reason with him. But some of these folks, yeah, they're new to their position. They're relatively young and inexperienced, and not a lot of decision making is getting done.
So Virgil's going to just walk in like he owns the place.
They don't even notice.
And he's
They're too busy bickering.
There's a chalkboard, he'd run his nails on it, that kind of thing. If I got to, shoot a table or fire a round off in the air to get everyone to stop.
Okay, that gets a lot of attention. The guards level the rifles at you, and okay. But Dante says, "Good morning," and just motions for the guards to kind of calm down.
Once
I
everything's...
think the colonel would like the floor.
So Virgil, much like his grandfather, flourish, puts the handgun back. Thank you. So, I'm assuming you've all gotten the daily brief of what's going on off-world.
And the bickering starts almost immediately.
I got to pull it out again.
Yeah. Okay. And one of them doesn't even notice. But Dante glares at him until he shuts up, and the guy with the pistol will shoot up the furniture again.
Our survival will be because we actually came up with a solution instead of bickering and arguing about who's really in charge or whose fault this is. Now, the science types are sciencing to figure out about the radiation thing. That leaves y'all with what's going out in space. What can we do to turn this around?
So they they don't. Most of the other council members, hold their silence, because they're still. They know who you are, and they're actually embarrassed about the bickering that was going on, even though Dante was trying to get some control in there without shooting at the furniture. So it's up to Dante to actually pick it up and express the summarize what they're thinking. Well, I think hold on, let's see here. Got their names. There we are. Yeah. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. All right. So Miriam over there, who's the new tech, was thinking in terms of an evacuation. How thinking and perhaps hoping that this effect is limited to the inner system. That the further away we got from the ring world or the facility over there, that perhaps this radiation might go down. And Harriet points out that there's no evidence that that's the case. That we don't know what the source of the thing is, particularly in light of that it started almost to the second that the facility that you were at, indicating you, Virgil, detonated a light year away. So it seems that simply trying to evacuate and thrust our way out of this is not going to work well. Miriam tries to speak up, but Dante holds up his hand. Then we have Admiral Turner. And you remember him, he was the captain that was in charge of the garrison here at Rithbal Landing, fought the invasion, ended up becoming the admiral after the previous guy got killed on the Trinity. Admiral Turner is rightfully more concerned about the immediate fight that's going on between our forces and the Relemicans, and wants to commit the Rithipal to engaging the Relemicans at their base, which we now strongly believe to be at the ancient space station, the jump, whatever, that's above B2. Harriet, bless you,
Sebastian.
points out that would leave Rithipal and the shipbreaking yard defenseless, in effect, because we have Novas, but we don't have any other capable ships nearby, because they're scattered throughout the system trying to engage the Relemicans, which is a valid point. Zoe's not here because she's sciencing with the scientists. So those are the two basic problems. One, how to deal with our illness due to radiation exposure, and two, how to deal with the immediate problem of the battle at hand. I'll offer my opinion because I have, but we still need to get a majority to agree on this council, because that's the nature of this, is that we do need to commit the Rithipal. We're not going to survive if we don't. We need to take our strongest asset and try to root out the Relemicans where they live. And while we're doing that, try to find out what's going on at that facility over there, over B2. Now, yes, is that going to leave Rithipal Landing exposed? Absolutely. And maybe to Miriam's point, we should evacuate the city. At least scatter the populace so that they're not such an easy target in case the Relemicans do decide to invade again. So those are reasonable proposals, but we have yet to come to a consensus on how to proceed. The opinions that each of these people held are reasoned and strong, and in our government, we don't move without a majority of the council ascending. I'm not going to change that.
And Virgil agrees. If the council loses face and tears apart and what hope do the people have? It's like, but I'll address each of these individually. With Miriam, we can't evacuate the ring world, but we can evacuate the city. That is smart. All non-combat personnel, spread them out. But I do think now is a time for total war. People work. They want to fight, train them. If not, send them out to the shipbreaking yard to help. We got to do something. They can't just sit in a bunker or in some abandoned farmhouse out of the wilderness. They need to be doing something. Whether it's digging trenches, helping collect scrap and fixing, or rifle in hand. That's probably the best shot, because that will come in handy later if worst case scenario happens and there's another land invasion. We're kind of at total war right now. When it comes to the Rithapol, we do need to use it, but we need to use it wisely. It needs to have escorts. Yeah, she's a bad girl, but just her on her own, she can be easily outnumbered, outmaneuvered, taken down. It's like a bear fighting a wolf pack. Yeah, the bear can easily take out a wolf, but multiple wolves attacking a bear in vital spots can still take down the bear. We need the Eliethia up. We need to find any big girl ships we still got, arm them up, outfit them, and come up with a plan for them. As far as the base, yeah, if we can take out their command, I mean, this is what happened last time. They fled, but we need to have contingencies for these space battles going on. I mean, eventually, the Anne Catherine is kind of on her own. She might get overpowered. She might get shot down. Will those ships stay where they're at for now, or will they come to us next or to the next stop? We need to ensure our flanks are secured before we just send all of our big guns to the station. So I propose to the council that we come up with a solid strategy. What are our assets? What can we bring to bear? What can we fight with? What say on?
Well, there's a lot of exchange looks there. So this guy who's been quiet the whole time, Mathis, the guy in charge of the shipbreaking yard, who's now the tech. Well, what I know is that about 80% of the population of Rithapol Landing work in the shipbreaking yards, and that means that they have, if not combat experience, they know how to throw a wrench, and they're used to hard work. I don't think it would be much of a stretch to train these folks to be part of a militia. And let's see, Miriam, who was the proponent for evacuation. Mathis, I understand what you're saying about there not being enough ships to evacuate everyone, and Harriet, I understand what you're saying about we don't have any idea how far this effect goes. It just seems like a capitulation, just to evacuate the city. And then how are we going to treat these people for the radiation sickness? It's if they're all scattered around, we'd have to move our medical teams from camp to camp to camp in order to keep it up. Dante nods, say, yeah, that's exactly what we're going to have to do. But it's better than leaving them in the city undefended. So that's the discussion that goes on. It's much less, sniping and agitated and angry. roll your best people person skill, and we'll see how this turns out. Okay, not so bad. And I like the choice too. So it takes about an hour and a half, 90 minutes. And you're in there, and there's a lot of discussion going on. And they finally come to something of an agreement. First off, as to evacuation, yes, they're going to move the civilians out to farmland that's about 10 miles out from the city. It's basically a ring of farms that supplies food to the to the citizens. Set up camps out there, and yeah, they're going to have to move, set up some medical teams to move around to deal with the radiation. The worst of it, they're not abandoning the city wholesale because they're going to keep the hospital open, as well as the military facilities, the academy, because that's where the labs are and stuff like that. So that plan starts to get rolling. The shipbreaking yard, for its part, they're not evacuating. You absolutely need it to stay full swing, because that's where this next part is going to happen. You've got there are a large number of non-jump capable ships in the system, but they tend to be low performance, 1G, 200 tons. Most of that's cargo capacity, rigged for salvaging and stuff like that. It'll take a long time for them to mosey back home to get retrofitted for combat, so they're effectively out of the fight. Everything that's going to happen here is going to happen within a few days. But you do have some ships on hand that can actually put up a bit of a fight, and you folks know that to be true. Number one on that list is the Bare Necessity. She's here and ready to go. You also have two other far traders, same class, the Hotly Contested and the Good Intent. So there are a couple of other scouts, Type S scouts, with single turrets. They can be used primarily for escorts. And the final thing that you can do in a pinch is what they did for the Yordhall. Basically, on the larger ships, meaning 200 tons and up, it's not pretty, but you weld essentially hard points to dock some Novas on the Rithipal and the far jumpers. And that means you can probably bring about between 8 and 10 Novas in. The Novas are not particularly good in space combat, but if they have a unique capability, and that's delivering battle dress. So they're good as raiders. If you can get them close enough, they can hop over and just dump a squad of battle dress right in the bad guy's face, and that won't make him happy. Now, as for defending Rithipol itself, while you have these resources out there, well, the shipbreaking yard guys say maybe we can come up with something we never thought we needed because we had the Rithipol sitting in the lake, and that's fixed place and defenses. Basically, scavenge some lasers and maybe a few missile launchers off of these wrecks and just set them up here at the shipbreaking yard so that they can fire up. And that's something they think they can get done in a couple days. So there you have it.
That sounds like a good idea. And if I can't get the Eliethia up, may have to take the Bare Necessity.
The Eliethia is a question mark depending on your timetable. If you're talking days, there's going to be rolls.
Yeah, we don't. It's one of those, speaking with math, it's like we may not have days, but I'll take what we have. I'm not going to just sit here. Once my crew is up, So, I mean, if I need a skeleton crew, so be it. But we need to get out there. We need to do something. Either we need to send a few things while other stuff gets ready to help the Aunt Catherine, or help the Yort Hall, something. But whatever the counts of the size is, we need the synth stuff. That's fine. But I'm not much help just sitting here.
Okay. Well, the council approves what we've just discussed. If you can get the Eliethia up and running, all the better. You will be in charge of the Rithipal group wherever it decides to go. That's what the council says. All right. Fun and games. So let's see here, Janice. I see you rolled streetwise there. Was that just in response to your best people person skill?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Well, what that gives you is word comes down later that morning about the evacuation of the city. It's just gotten that serious. It's unheard of in Rithipal's 100-year history. So there's a lot of activity going on along those lines. Non-critical patients are getting moved out with most of the rest of the population. You're in that group. So what do you want to do? Well, we'll start with you, since there are several people at the hospital. I mean, they don't know who you are when they come up and say, we want you to go with that evacuation team over there, and they're heading out to, so-and-so's farm about 10 miles that way.
Well, she would want to stick with her brother.
Try your people person skills, I guess.
Get to it. Let's do this.
Yeah, that I have a right to be here. According to subsection 3 of blah, blah, blah. Yes, they, you legal them into submission, and, they wander off. The doctors are impressed. There's clapping behind the glass wall. Yeah. That's a good roll. Okay, so the rest of you, let's see. Anna, they don't bug you because you are a medical staff. But John, after they've got you fixed up and discharged, they want to evacuate you. They catch you on the outside of the hospital and direct you towards one of the transports that's heading out to a farm. What do you tell them?
Well, if he's ambulatory, he's going to try to go to the break-in yards. He can at least help point.
Oh, which works for them, because there's a call for engineers to go down to work on things. So yeah, that'll work just as well. So you get on a one of those little 20-ton launches to a whole bunch of other folks, and down you go. All right, Loki, we know where you're at. Bitterman, let's see. You're not accosted
I wasn't
by
in town, so
you weren't in town. That's right. So you don't have that particular problem. But you go ahead and roll that animal handling skill again.
it's also my best people skill.
I saw that. You remember the game where you kind of growled, calmingly? Yeah, that's pretty good. So what you're finding as you go into the forest and you're much more comfortable in surroundings is the flora and the fauna are also being impacted by the same thing that's affecting you. So you can tell by the plants. The plants are beginning to show signs of illness. A little shriveled and not quite as glorious as they should be. And indeed, a lot of predators that you would expect to be out there doing their thing are just sitting there, exhausted in the sun. Even some of the prey, it's the prey animals aren't. Yeah, there does seem to be one strange exception. Roll an intelligence check to see how much of this you notice. Let's see that roll. Okay, good. Got to find the right one here. So, in the midst of all of that lethargy. There's one notable exception, and it starts with this little guy.
Oh, those are the ones that make the tasty nuggets, right?
Fearless, totally fearless, comes up and, looks, even the Priss doesn't intimidate this thing, and it's only like, a few inches long. But it comes right up, and you're out there, eating lunch, and just roots around in your bag, starts rooting around in your bag. Like cats do, right?
Sure, but that's not a cat.
You're absolutely right. That is not a cat.
Well, it's a fuzzy fairy cat.
I believe Bitterman learned his lesson last time and just lets it eat.
Okay, good. I was hoping you remembered this one. Yeah. So, okay, yeah, it kind of pulls something out of your pack. It's not your entire supplies, but it starts, chewing on it, and then it just vanishes. Puff. The Priss actually starts to back away a little bit.
Mine, or I'll help you not.
I
And
remember them disappearing last time, but I don't think we were able to figure anything out after that. So if the Priss is backing up, I will join her.
5 of them, poof, appear roughly in the same spot the one disappeared, and they make a beeline, pardon the pun, for the food that was dragged out of your backpack and start chewing on it.
Dude, he's got Twinkies.
Is it like ants following a pheromone trail? What's going on here?
Do you have any science type skills? I mean, you've run across these before, and we'll say yes, you observe this behavior. You do not. If you see one, yeah, there are more nearby, and they will swarm you.
I guess I'll take the Priss's lead and back up with her, like I said. So
those 5, they have their fill, and pop, 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 except for one, and you can't tell if it was the same one that originally showed up or not. It's hard to tell them apart. But actually, it looks over at you. Kind of cocks its head, and pop, disappears.
hopefully it doesn't see me as like a big turkey dinner on 2 legs like they do on Bugs Bunny,
Okay, so let's see. You have a tracking skill, I believe, don't you?
Survival.
Yeah, that's good. Go ahead and roll your survival there. Again, a good roll. Okay. The Priss kind of starts growling low, back of her throat. She doesn't take off, but she sensed something.
Let's leave this area, Priss.
Okay. So you guys get up, pack up real quick, and start moving away when out from behind one of the trees is one of these guys.
Oh, dang it.
But you notice something immediately about it. These things were kind of masters of the stealth attack. Why it would pop out and not immediately be in range to attack you, you're not sure. Why did I suddenly have this change? And you kind of get the idea that it's not doing well. It's swaying a little bit. It's almost as though it's not fully coordinated. But it's growling, and it comes for you on the Priss.
Fire.
All right, fire. Also, you've never heard of one of these guys being this close to the settlement. They're usually on the other side of the glacier, if at all.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember how to fire. I think I just rolled gun combat.
Yeah, that's good enough. Okay.
8.
And I think you roll like 3d6. We'll say that's your damage your weapon does.
Yeah, I could have sworn I had some way of doing that before.
Yeah, there is. It's on your character sheet someplace, but oops, not caps. We'll give him a chance to.
2d6, you said? Oh, 3d.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. So yeah, you get a really good solid hit in, and it fails to dodge. Then he comes for the Priss. And again, it seems to be moving slowly, and doesn't have the full coordination. Yeah, it just plain up misses. Pris is kind of dancing out of the way. Roll an intelligence check real quick. Okay. So it's still there. You hit it real good, though.
Let's get out of here, Pris.
So just try to run.
Not a full out retreat, but a wary one where we're ready to shoot backwards if it keeps coming at us.
All right. Well, I wasn't expecting you to run, quite so soon. It's such short range. I was expecting a bit of a fight with a Pris there, right? And remember, these things are intelligent, as it turns out. They're not simply animals. They're just very aggressive, intelligent animals. So you do manage to.
I also used to think they were solo, but now I've learned that they like to work together and do horrible things to people. So
yeah, they're not nice. They are not nice. All right.
that's why I'm trying to get the hell out of there while I can.
So make a dex check.
Uh-oh.
Just roll your dexterity, and we'll see how well this goes. And then roll your intelligence one more time. Okay. It's not bad. Okay. So you kind of back away, with the rifle leveled, and then you start jogging away, glancing over your shoulder, trying to open up the distance. And the thing again, it's like a little surprise. It was expecting a fight for the Pris. No, the Pris sticks with you, and it kind of lumbers after you. Again, not as fast as you remember these things being, because obviously there's something not right with it. But one thing that catches your eye is as you begin running from it and as it begins chasing you, not sure that that's working. One of those little bees flies out of your backpack and heads towards it. They weren't done with their lunch yet.
Okay. I think I remember that last time too. Yeah.
So let's see, the Garictus. Let's see if it's how desperate it is. Why am I getting that? Oh, they're hitting equal sign or what?
It's like fate rolls or something.
Yeah.
You hit equals instead of minus.
Yeah, okay. That's better. All right. But anyway, it rolled pretty lousy. All right. So it keeps lumbering after you and kind of snaps at at the little bee. Well, the little bee kind of easily jinks around it, but it was just attacked. So that's when you see about 20 other little bees show up right in the Fugorictus face. You hear the thing start screaming as they dig into it. I would keep running if I were you.
Oh, I never stopped.
Okay. Yeah, those guys hunt in packs, the teleporters. So there were a couple.
Like, remember, those things aren't something to mess with.
Yeah. They look cute enough, but
Chris and I nod sagely at each other and continue running.
But several things just happened that were out of the norm. One, a Garictus attacked you very close to Rithpal Landing in the city itself. That's never heard of anything like that. Two, the thing was clearly not healthy. That might be attributable to things that are happening to everything else. Maybe not. You don't know. But three, and this is the thing I want that your various intelligence checks did key on, I want you to take away, is that those little bee guys seem fine. They're not lethargic in the slightest.
There's a little wheel floating in the air above Bitterman saying, "He will remember this." No.
Okay. So let's get kind of day job roles from the rest of the group. Your best science from Loki. Let's see. Sam is out. Sid is out. Sid, by the way, got hit pretty bad by this radiation thing. Janice, let's see. Where do you want to go back to the group in the academy, or just stick with your brother where you're at?
Janice needs to stick with her brother. That's
Okay, good deal. And then John rolled your best engineering roll. And Janice, let's get a see if we have any observational thing. Thought you did. Investigate, yeah, that would be great. That'd be a good roll. So that's a good science roll. Virgil, let's get like a tactics or leadership type roll from you. That's really good. Okay, I see. That's really good. And Bitterman, we just did your bit. Okay. So, okay, that's good. So you guys spend the day doing your best to implement all these various plans that are going on. What you're getting, Janice, what you get from just observing things is you're a little concerned that the docs that were keeping your brother alive are wandering off. Some of them are being assigned to these patrols that are going to go to the various camps. So you might, if you care to, you might roll to convince some of them to stay in appropriate fashion, because that's also the case for other criticals like the survivors of the trial and error. And again, a good roll. So yeah, you convince some of the experienced docs that you really need to work on your critical patients here. We're not abandoning them, and they agree. Okay. The science rolls. You in the day that you've been working on it, you do link the radiation effect to what appears to be something similar to what the Rithapol encountered when it first got here, 100 odd years ago. And that is this, if you recall, this place was the entire system suspended somehow in jump space. And that seems to be what's happening now, is that the system is transitioning from normal space to jump space in some way that only the ancients understand, but the transition is not healthy to biologics. How long that transition lasts, you're not sure. Whether it will complete successfully, given that at least one of the stations responsible for that transition has blown up, you're not sure. But you at least have a handle on the why. Now, if you can only find a way to survive it, which will hopefully walk in here shortly. And then John, you're down there working on these various projects at the shipwrecking yard. I imagine you probably go straight to the Eliethia, right, and start swinging a hammer there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
All right. So that's where you'll be. Later that second day, Bitterman walks in, and kind of, hey, Loki, and you guys can chat about what happened.
I don't know much. You got any more food? I ran out. These weird beard creatures ate all mine.
Like to study them. Yeah, I think they already moved the food to over there.
Over where?
Points down the corridor to where they've been stockpiling. Time to gather it to move it.
Okay, I'm gonna go load back up. It was really weird. They were all so fast and active, and everything else was slow. Anyway, see you later.
Well, you'd actually don't have to. You hear him kind of rattle off that fact, and that does kind of sound odd to you, until you see one kind of crawling out of his backpack onto his shoulder as he goes down towards the food. So Bitterman, you approach that table where people are lining up and getting their food and supplies, and you're of course intending to get more than just one meal. You're going to pack yourself with non-perishables. You reach over your shoulder for the pack, and one of those bees jumps on your hand and then immediately jumps off onto the table.
Uh-oh.
And one of the academics, the students, looks over at you. What's the problem? Looks at that bee and goes to swat it.
Don't move.
Okay. He stops. What's the problem? The bee starts eating happily.
That's not a safe creature to try to harm. Back away slowly.
It's just a little bee.
Yeah. You've never heard of small creatures being dangerous?
He's a physicist. He doesn't know anything about small creatures.
Well, have you heard of any atomic particles that are dangerous?
Oh yeah. Those, they're all dangerous.
Yeah. Think of it in that order.
So you people back away, and you get this little circle of people, that have backed away from the table, and the thing's totally oblivious. Not noticing any of it until it disappears. Pop. And there are exclamations in the crowd. What? Where did it go? No, it's teleportation. It's psionic. That matches my theory that most of the flora here, because they were experiments from the ancients, have some sort of psionic abilities. It was part of the experiment, and then like 10 of them show up, eating into the buffet, and everybody shuts up again. Oh, that's terrifying. They look over at you, Bitterman, because you look like you know what you're talking about. You warned the one student that saved his life. It's like,
I have absolutely no idea how they're here, but I have heard of them before. Be careful.
how many of them are there?
If you see one, there's always more. If you harm one, you will get swarmed. Do not harm one.
And about half of them pop out, and 10 more show up. So now they're 15, just munching away. Something that you've never seen before, Bitterman, is beginning to happen with. You've never seen this large a group except as an attack. These folks are milling around and eating. They seem to be, well, gathering the food together. They're creating something.
Is it a pile of mashed potatoes carved to look like a mountain?
Yeah. Something like that. And 10 more of them disappear. And about 15 arrive. So now you're up to 20. This is getting close to that group that attacked the Grictus.
How big is this area of food, and can I get to any of it to stock
Think of it.
myself up before they eat it all?
Think of a cafeteria, a good sized cafeteria, and you're just running through the line when these guys showed up, and they are now on the food line.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you could probably get to some of the food. They seem to be focused in an area about 10 feet square.
Well, I keep warning people to be very careful with them. I'll slowly restock my bag and then back away.
Okay. Roll 2d6. Okay. Hey, nice. Good roll. Well, you rolled 3d6. We'll stick with it, though.
Oh, I thought you said 3.
No, the first 2 are 8, and that's all you needed. So you do this. You do this thing. And as you back away, though, you notice that your hand is covered in. Wait a minute. The food has been covered in something by them. It's sticky and kind of viscous.
What's it smell like?
Smells sweet.
Is it reminiscent of honey? And would Bitterman know what honey is, having grown up on a ring world?
I don't think you would know what honey is, having grown up in a ring world. But is it reminiscent of honey? Yeah. Actually, so roll 2d6 again. Let's let the roll decide that. Yeah, it's honey, and you know what honey is, and it's like, wow. I mean, there's a lot of it, and it smells good. It smells sweeter than any other honey from an insect that you've ever come across.
Interesting. What do I know about bees and honey? I see these TikTok videos of people saving bees, and they're very comfortable with being swarmed by them, and they don't move threateningly. So,
Carry around like puffs of smoke, stuff like that. Yeah. So you're gonna risk your life on a TikTok video?
well, I mean, they're very informative and always true.
Go for it.
I do. I'm just trying to fill my bags. So.
Animal handling, and
Uh-oh.
let's see how it goes.
I really like rolling 5s and 3s today.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, you kind of edge closer and grab some more. Fill your bag. One of them kind of comes up close to you. Kind of cocks his head again curiously, but doesn't attack, and goes back to the group. And they're cycling in and out, no more than 20 of them at a time. But it's like every minute or so, a group of them leaves and another arrives. And the area where they're feeding, yeah, it's getting covered more and more in this honey.
Oh. You muted yourself.
No, that was the cat.
Oh, gotcha.
So, what's the last thing you remember hearing? If I can get the cat to stop playing
You
with
said there's
controls.
more and more honey.
Yeah. More and more honey. These guys are not attacking folks because they're not being threatened by them. They're swapping in and out, no more than 20 of them at a time. Pretty soon they probably 10 minutes of this, they go through the food that's in that easily accessible in that area. And most of them leave. One or two of them stick around, kind of scouting around the rest of the cafeteria, which at which point one of the soldiers, gets the bright idea, let everybody drop your food and leave. And let's just leave it to them and let them exhaust their uh, their appetites, and hopefully they'll go away. So they get the people out. But you have a bag full of food and honey.
Oh, I'll head back out and walk past Loki and say, "Thanks, I got the food." And a little bonus.
Let me get a sample of that.
There's plenty in the other room.
She takes a sample stick and rubs it across your shoulder.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, you get honey. All right, Loki, what are you going to do with this? Bitterman, you're off. I mean, you've got your food, and it's like, okay, here yet again another close encounter with these things. I think I'm done. I'm going back to the forest.
Well, he's gonna hit. How far is it to the shipbreaking yards or wherever most people are evacuating to?
Well, 10 miles to the closest evacuation camps. The shipbreaking yard is much further. You'll need a shuttle to get down there.
Well, I mean, he might try to hook up with the others, or at least to be in the woods near where the others are in case something goes down.
Okay, well, that's where you're at. Now, Loki, you've got this honey residue, and also you're going to have much more as soon as the rest of those bees are done with the food in the cafeteria. What do you want to do?
Going to test it against with biological cells and that things are being damaged. Going to mix it in there and see if it changes. Going to check and see what it's doing. Examine it, scan it.
All right, go for it.
Basically trying to see if a teaspoon of honey makes the medicine go down.
So let me do a physics roll for that and a medical roll for that.
All right, give me a sec. Okay, so here's what those rolls give you. The honey chemically is honey. It is what you expect. It's sugar and all the other stuff that goes into it. Some key things about honey in our world, that's also true of this, is that it is a strong antibacterial agent. For the bacteria don't survive well, and that's the evolution of bees has seen to that. But more interestingly to you, it's the evolution of these particular critters, or rather the engineering these particular critters, that gives this honey some unique properties when it comes to their quantum mechanical existence. They the chemistry is the same as honey, but the spin is all wrong. At a quantum mechanical level, there's everything just messed up about it. That's not necessarily a bad thing. What that means is that it's, as you had hoped, this stuff is not being impacted at all by the interface problem. There is no presence of the quantum mechanical low-level radiation effect that you were getting. And it seems to have everything to do with how it is constructed. Now, why it's constructed that way, you're not sure. Now, what are the medical potentials for this? Well, you want to test this, but if you think it's possible that if you ate this as a substitute for regular food, that's in very small doses, that the presence of this unusually quantified sugar molecule in the body might actually help by reducing the amount of radiation that's produced. Doesn't make it go away entirely, because most of the body, you just can't help that. But what's going on in your bloodstream, what's being transported, this replace your normal food with this, but you're not sure what the right dosage is, and you're not sure if it's the weirdness going on at the quantum level is going to have long-term effects. But short-term, maybe. It seems to be working for the little bees.
Hey, Sid, we've got something that might help. It might not, but it might help.
Okay, so you're asking for a volunteer.
Yeah, and he's a tank, so he's used to it.
Okay, Anna, this comes down from the university. This is a product of one of the local fauna, and you recognize it when it's described to you. It's it's those bees, the little cat bees. Oh, okay. And this is the honey they make, and you see the analysis. And all right, you roll a medic roll, and we'll see if you can come up with something that's the correct way to administer this stuff. Oh yeah, real good. That's a good roll. Well, you think, yeah, you could actually do this intravenously for people that are really bad off. For others, you maybe just eat it normally, and put it on your PB&J sandwich instead of the J. Make it this stuff. The biology, okay. So is Sid wanting to do this? Be the test subject?
He's in a bad way.
Yeah. All right. Well, roll an endurance check for him. Okay. He passes out very quickly after having been administered this stuff. But what you notice, Anna, is that the low level radiation is going down noticeably as the sugar is being replaced by this other sugar. So wait and watch and see if Sid recovers. That would be the thing to do. All right, so that's going on. We're going to do one more day, and then I think this would be a good time to pause click, but I wanted to show how this works out. All right. So starting at the bottom left with the survivors of our science ship. So they managed to rendezvous with a Steven Stone. There are a lot more of them than the Steven Stone could normally handle. So it's cramming like 20 people into a ship normally crewed by 2. So it's really tight in there. But there's good reason to do that, because the launch doesn't have the range to go across the system. It can go fast for a while, whereas the Steven Stone can go for weeks. So they dump the launch. Everybody's now on the Steven Stone. The Steven Stone starts racing away. It changes its course because of what's going on there at AB2 to eventually find its way up to the ring world. So that's what's going on with those guys. Meanwhile, our scout ship that tried to intercept is continuing to try to intercept the Steven Stone in vain because they're both scout ships and it can't out accelerate that one. However, the other one stops and seems to descend to the surface of AB1B to the wreckage of the former lab ship. So they may be trying to investigate that for something they want. All right, so that's where they're at. Okay, moving over here to the Aunt Catherine and that area. So actually, it's 2 rolls. Okay, the Aunt Catherine plays hide and go seek better than anybody by dancing around the ruins that are still in orbit up there, which are very well mapped by the Rithipol folks. She's able to avoid taking significant damage from this gazelle, and is in turn, yeah, they're actually pretty evenly matched at this point. So neither of them gets decisive hits on the other. So that battle's still going on. What you get, though, is that whatever happened on the surface, and we don't know because we lost radio comms when the invasion began, it's over. The mercenary cruiser has taken off and is headed back up to the ruin in orbit around B2. They're not headed for Rithipol. The second Gazelle looks like they are going with them as an escort. Looks like they're mindful of the Rithipol and what move she might make next. All right, now let's go over to the Yord Hall. So this battle happens. All of these ships converge, and it's a big old fight. So let me get these things out of the way. Just kind of make a oof. Okay. So the torque and gets in between Yord Hall and these interceptors. The Munin sticks close to the Yord Hall, and those Novas detach and get ready to do whatever they can. The 2 interceptors team up on the torque, and in the battle, that battle lasts probably about 30-40 minutes, torque is destroyed. Now that doesn't mean that the Novas and Munin weren't doing anything. They're trying to get maneuver into better positions to try to isolate one of these guys, and they do. So they're able to actually capture, not destroy, one of the interceptors. But it's so beat up that it's not a factor in the rest of the fight. Let me get these right. Come on. That goes there. That goes there. That goes there. All right. So let's move those guys away. So the remaining interceptor, closes on the Yord Hall. And their intention is clearly to capture. They want that tanker. The Munin and the interceptor and the Novas. See how that goes. Oh, okay. So it actually manages to clamp onto the Yord Hall. There's a fight on board the tanker. The Novas quickly intercept it, and because it can't avoid being boarded itself, is captured. And the Nova's battle dress outnumber the invaders that came from that interceptor. So ultimately, although they do some damage to the Yorthal and do kill some of the crew, that attack is repulsed. And you now have 2 additional ships. One of them in decent shape, but you lost a patrol cutter in the offing. So that's what you end up with at the start of the next day. Okay, so let's pause it there. It's a little past 9, and this is a decent time for old men to go to sleep.
Thank you, Matthew.
Yeah, good show. I enjoyed that.
And then next time, it's looking like we're going to be doing something about this group here,
Yep.
because that's the next pain point for the group. All righty.
Can we make
Well, everybody.
So, appreciate that. Be well. We'll see you soon.
Yes, indeed. Y'all take care.